All right, welcome. I'm here to give my first impressions of the Bambu Lab A1 Combo printer. Just successfully ran the first test print with a miniature Benchy right here. Took about 20 minutes, which is pretty impressive. I'll be testing a comparison with the Hurakan using the same STL file and G-code settings, I should say, to test the benchmark and see if it's just as fast. The previous Benchy that I did, as I alluded to in an earlier video, this one took about 2.5 hours on the Hurakan. I'm pretty sure that's just the G-code settings, and we could probably juice it up to get it down in size. Now it's time for my first impressions of the A1. So generally setup was pretty easy. It was a breeze. There were a few steps in there, but the guide that they included was fairly nice. Some things that I would say is, start with the good. So the good is most of the 3D printer is already assembled, which was not the case with my Hurakan over there. The Hurakan, I think or Hurricane, I'm just gonna start calling it Hurricane. The Hurakan took about 3 hours to put together, honestly. For me, maybe that's just my skill level, or it's a skill issue perhaps. But this took, I'd say, about an hour or so between filming to put together. All in all, fairly simple. I love the setup process with the green highlights around the screw holes where to screw them. I like that the cords were color-coded. Very nice setup. The AMS system seems pretty simple as well to configure and to set up. And I also enjoy that the system looks like it's very compartmentalized, meaning very easy to swap out parts if you need to. So those are the pros. Getting into some of the cons for setup. Some of the cons for setup were actually trying to remove the Y cover plate. In the setup, it just seemed hard to do, but I was able to get it done. There was no setup like that for the Hurakan, but moving forward from there, I think the AMS system is actually quite nice. I like how the spools clamp on to this section right here. I also like how they included a singular handle for the singular spool holder, just in case you want to use that instead of the AMS setup. Now on to the actual build process, or the actual building of the model or printing. I think for that, I actually ran into some issues initially, and this was an error of mine, but I had an issue with the tool head. It said that it was an error with the tool head in my Bambu Handy app. A little bit of Googling online. So it turns out it was the USB-C cord at the very bottom of the printer. When I was doing my initial setup, I did not have it latched in there correctly. Took a moment to unscrew that section underneath, wedged in that section properly. The USB is in there properly, and everything started working again after I reset. That worked fine. As far as the actual printing process though, I would say it is blazingly fast, disturbingly fast. You may not have picked this up in the video, but there's a lot of shaking of the table. The table was shaking. Even my Hurakan over here, my other 3D printer, was shaking quite a bit. And like I said, we'll do a comparison video soon between the two. We'll put them to the test, probably with the initial Benchy. But for just looking at the A1 right now, very shaky. So you definitely want to have a sturdy table or have it support it well. For right now, this is just a test print, but as you start having more intricate builds, I'm assuming the print settings would be on a slower speed just to not mess with over extrusion, under extrusion, not to have those kind of problems that might mess up your build, but it's something to consider if you're trying to use faster settings. Other than that, it is a lot noisier than I expected. So noise is also a big factor there. But it was speedy, it was fast, and I think for a beginner it's really helpful. I am very glad that I started out with a clipper-based 3D printer because it gave me everything I needed to know. It taught me the ins and outs of using a modern bed slinger, and also got me familiar with some of the issues that I might run into. So all in all, for a beginner, I'd say it's definitely a great printer to have. I like that the camera is built in, a full color camera. I like that. I love that it records as soon as you start your print. I also like their latch on spool holder system in case you don't get the A1. Yeah, you can probably latch on a Sharpie filament colorizer if you wanted to do that yourself and have your own sort of AMS on the cheap. Yeah, that concludes my review or first impressions of the A1. Do you have an A1 or other Bambu products that you recommend? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. You can subscribe as always, and thank you for watching. Also may want to note that the test filament stripes are down here below towards the front, which I do on the Biqu Hurakan. It's on the side like that. I think it's that way for most Ender type bed slingers, but having it in the front is a nice touch, easier to clean. Also, because I used AMS, there was a bit of poop, even though there wasn't a color change, which was surprising. So yeah, interesting.